Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. After a hiatus of a few weeks, we have with us Dr. Hema and Dr. D.K.Hari, and we're going to be talking about Noah, Noah's Ark, Navgat, navigation. How did this word come about? Is there something that happened in our Puranas that precedes the Noah's Ark? All this and more with doctors Hema and D.K.Hari. Namaskaram, sir. How are you?
Namaskaram.
Namaste.
So I'm going to start this conversation with you, Dr. D.K. Hari, because we talked about this. We were talking about Noah's Ark, and it's somehow I felt that there may have been something similar to this that happened in our own Puranas. And let's start from there. The navigational prowess of India was not something that is 100 years old, 200, 300, 400, 500. It goes way, way back. So perhaps you can enlighten us on the history of this part, and then I'll go to Hemaji, who has a complete presentation for us. In fact, you want to show some pictures in the middle, please feel free, because this is just a conversation between the two of you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sri, for inviting us back again on this P Guru show. And as you said, about a month back when we were concluding our discussion, you briefly mentioned the word Noah as part of your concluding remark. So after that, you asked me, what is it we can do next? I said, since you have mentioned the word Noah, we can do about that itself and how the term came about, how that has got a very intrinsic connect with the navigational prowess, as you used the right phrase, of Bharat through the millennia, through the ages. Can consistently see that. Now, the very phrase, the very word Noah, Noah's Ark, looks like an East Mediterranean Aramic term. But if you look at it, actually, it's got a very strong linguistic connect with India. We'll see that in the next few slides. Just give us a moment to get our slides ready. It's there. You just got to connect up. That's all.
Yeah.
So look at the word, Indian word, Nav, Navai, in the Tamil language, which the three of us are from, and the Indian word Nav. So there's not much difference between the word Nav in Sanskrit and the word Navai in Tamil, and the English word Navy and the word Nova here, from which comes the word navigate, navigation. Let's see the connect now. So if you see the word in India now, when it goes to the East Mediterranean Sea, it becomes Nova. And from there, when it goes to England, the British word, the Navy, look at the word linguistic, phonetic connect across the land, across millennia, across seas. And this is not limited only here. You can see this connect even across the Pacific Ocean. When we say even across the Pacific Ocean, you should remember we are not showing America, the United States of America, or the North and South America to the west of the Atlantic Ocean.
Bharat.
We are not showing it to the west of Atlantic Ocean. We are showing it to the east of the Pacific Ocean. It's a very specific reason for this. Only then we will understand this connect much better. Look at the words for the same shipping, navigation, etc. in the Mayan, Aztec, Inca language of those days. The pre-Spanish words. Nahuatl, Nava, Navata, Nahuta, Anuha. Look at all these words and let's get back to this connect between Nav, Nava, Nova. It just hits us on the face, isn't it? Across the oceans, we have a saying in both Tamil, Hindi, English, all that, Sat Samundar Par. ஏழு கடல் தாண்டியும் திரவியம் தேடி வருது, across the seven seas. All the three languages we have this phrase. But literally, if you see, those phrases, where do they come up from? Where do these phrases come up from at all, first of all? Because you see that there has been an intrinsic, very, very ancient connect over the seas, not centuries ago, not even 1 millennia ago, but probably 4, 5, 6 millennia ago, when we are generally taught to think or told that about Stone Age and pre-Stone Age, post-Stone Age, all those things. But here you're talking about a navigational age across era, because Noah's Ark, as we all know from the biblical term, is at least 3 to 4 millennia ago, isn't it? So Jesus Christ is 2 millennia ago, a millennia or two before that. So talk about 4 millennia ago, there's a continuity. That's what I'm trying to bring forth. Next. It's amazing. You can see
Hemaji,
this across.
yeah.
Yes.
Your opening comments on this thing, and yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, like Hari was saying, one, you find people having physically connected, I mean, traveled and having gone to different lands, and especially using sea as the medium, water, which today we think actually could not have connected people. But if you look at it, all old civilizations, even the Vikings, we had just recently been to Iceland, and the amount of stories we had heard about how the Vikings actually came, and how Iceland itself was, took its, I mean, the history of Iceland, its name and the saga, they call it the saga of the Vikings. So people across the world, they have used sea as a medium for travel. And along with that, you find a beautiful influx of language, culture, thoughts, and that is the marvel. These are things which show that the universe, the world is truly connected. We keep saying one world family. This is that one world family. It doesn't look at a family of 100 year, 200 year, but it is a family across the age of the universe itself, ever since man has been there. And beautiful stories you can see evolving in this universe, which talk about connects across ages, even glacial ages. So that's how you find remnants. All these words sometimes could even be across glacial ages. So that's the kind of deep connects we are really looking at with these words.
Thank you, Dr. Hema and Dr. Hari. Now let's go to, you have a, I'll let you continue with your presentation. I want to ask about Noah's Ark, but I'll come to that. I'll let you, get to a point where you are ready for the next set of questions.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So we'll show you actually a beautiful thing about this ark. One is Noah's Ark, which is the physical boat. But here, look at this very beautiful set of events which create a geographical arc.
Yeah, look at this. So we all know about the Noah's Ark, which was mentioned here, biblical flood, which probably about 3000 BCE. This is what the story that we hear, and it's popular in the regions of the Mediterranean and also in USA. This is what we all read. But then we talk about the ancient civilizations of the world. They come a little more to the eastern part and speak about Mesopotamia, Sumeria, where they speak about a flood. And look at it, I'm going back here. This Noah's Ark event itself is possible because of the biblical flood that happened around 3000 BCE is what they place it around. Now let's come here to the civilization of Mesopotamia, Sumeria. They also had a flood in the same era, and that is called Atrahasis. And that's their story about the flood. Now, obviously, the Europeans have called the myth on flood, but it's actually their story on the flood and how they saved themselves, etc. That's very clearly there. There's a huge, voluminous amount of work. I just want to introduce the idea to our audiences here. Now, let's come a little more to Eastern here. In, again, Mesopotamia, in Persia, around the same period of 2800 to 3000 BC, you have an ancient epic, the way we got epics in Bharat. You have an epic in Mesopotamia too. It's called the Epic of Gilgamesh. What is the Epic of Gilgamesh all about? Of course, you got shown in terms of it now, but it's all about extensive flood and the destruction that it crosses. It causes. Look at that. This is there. So we have one side. So look at that. This thought about the oldest piece of literature about this flood. And they say it's 4,000 plus years old as a literature itself. So it happened before that. And it's housed in Iraq. Now, look at this. So you have a flood here in about 3000 BCE, the biblical Noah's flood. Here you have it in Atrahasis. Here you have it in this thing, Epic of Gilgamesh. Now let's come to Dwaraka. Dwaraka was submerged 5,100 years ago, the same period of 3000 BCE. So you have a flood here, a last tsunami of those days. Look at this. So, and you have a dates for this which are given in our book, so it's available there. So, in this particular chapter, which is called the Mausala Parva, which is the shortest chapter in the Mahabharata, you have an Ankon Deka Hal, first-hand eyewitness report of the tsunami, the big flood happening. The sea had been beating against the shore. See, this is the English translation from the Mausala Parva text. Suddenly broke the boundary and rushed into the city.
Yeah. And then he talks about how this is Arjuna's description of what he saw, how he saw the beautiful buildings submerging one by one. And in a few moments itself, it was all over. It became a placid lake. And this is just beautiful. The way he says Dwaraka was just a name, just a memory.
So he has seen Dwaraka vibrant, and now he says it's just a name, it's a memory. So about this flood, you have this marine archaeological expedition which has gone down and seen the remnants of this. That is also available with us now, isn't it?
So you have evidence for the submerged city, its walls, the fort,
the anchors. This is the underwater. It's a veritable underwater museum for us now of the structures that were there, the pre-tsunami or the the great flood in the geographical arc. Now let's come down to Tamil.
Before we go to Tamil, I have one question. Before we go to Tamil, this is after the Mahabharata war or before the Mahabharata war? Dwaraka submerged.
36 years after the Mahabharata war. This is in the year 3031 BCE.
I see.
We have written a book on this. It's available. It's called Triple Eclipse, our book, as well as in our book Historical Krishna. Both the books we give all these details, same details we give there.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Now we come to, you can mention our books there in the thing, you can show it there. Now, in the Kumari Kandam, submergence of the lost continent,
the Tamil Sangam literature, you find these mentions.
You have a epic, what they call as Kadal Kul, Per Ari Alai, Peri Ari Alai, that washes. And all the people are compelled to migrate. So we made a painting of this. And here is the Raja, the Pandya Raja, leading his people who are all going up front, and he's coming last.
He's leading, but from the back.
He's leading from the back.
Pushing people.
Yes.
Everybody, because he's the king. And look at this. The epic shows about how the flood waters come and wash his feet. So he's talking about he safely taking all his people up north when the flood hits them. So that's about this particular Pandya Raja. And he is also known as Nilam Taru Tiruvil Pandya, because he takes people, and this mass migration happens from south to north. Look at this. We don't have a migration from north to south in Tamil literature. We have a migration from south to north. And he takes his people, and that's how he crosses northwards. So that's where you have mentioned about the Pahuruli Aru and various aspects, Podigai Malai. So people moving northwards and crossing the rivers and crossing. So that's what the story is. Look at this. So we just made an animation of the mass fleeing as mentioned in the Tamil literature, ancient Sangam literature, of people carrying their belongings because of this flooding and moving northwards.
The whole continent, the whole region is supposed to, and this is not just one. I mean, there were many, but this is the one which is of the same time period, contemporaneous to these other floods that we have just seen, the Dwaraka or the Mesopotamia. So this is around the same 5,000-year-old period.
5,000 before present.
Right, right.
Look at this.
5,000 years back. Yeah.
He takes all these people safely, goes, and it so beautifully poetically says, the waves come and wash his feet. Of course, that's the beauty of the literature, Tamil literature. And where is it mentioned? It's mentioned in all these texts: Tolkappiyam, Silappatikaram, Manimegalai, Purananuru, Kalitogai, Kuruntogai, Kambaramayana. Everywhere, see, it's mentioned across text. That's the beauty of it. Now, having said, look at this now.
So actually, what we're really seeing here beautifully over here, you're seeing a description about people's reaction to the flood, how they migrate, and the stories around that. Here, you're seeing the description of the flooding event, how there is a tsunami, the description of what happened when the tsunami. In fact, it goes into about the behavior of animals and so on and so forth. And here you talk about the legends of the people, how they've documented it, and Gilgamesh, Atrahasis, and all that.
As much as Krishna is a hero for Dwaraka, Gilgamesh is a hero for Mesopotamia, same period.
And in Noah's Ark, what are you seeing? You're seeing how people were saved, rescued, animals, how they sought to continue after the flood. So you're seeing a flood in a same geographically connected region, and this is also an arc and contemporaneous flooding period, but different aspects of the flooding.
Now, one key point. See, if you're going to have a tsunami, as you had 15 years ago in Sumatra, it doesn't affect one Nagara or city or just one island. You know, it affected from East Africa to Sri Lanka to India to different parts of Indonesia to all over. You know, it affected. It hit people. So, if a tsunami of probably much larger magnitude had some eruption happen and come again, that's a different. So we have the data for that. That's for a different date, really. You see that then it cannot have affected one city alone. You cannot have the epic only in one place. It must be across places. So that's what we have created here, is to show that great flood, which is spoken about in 5 different languages and civilizations and 5 different locations, has had a real connect, a geographical arc. So Noah's Ark not only speaks about the phonetic similarity of the people spread all over the world, the word Noah's Ark also gives us, and the event gives us, this geographical arc.
Which is actually a shared history of all these civilizations. If you really look at it, along this arc, all these civilizations have had this shared history, shared memory, and it is found in their literature as well.
And this all benchmark events in each of their civilization histories. They are all events that have changed their history itself. Obviously, it must have been such a big flood then to find mention and keep being mentioned 5,000 years later too.
So one question I have. Yeah, go ahead. Please finish your talk.
No, go ahead, sir. Ask your question.
No, my question is, let us set it up.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Go to slide mode, please. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, you can ask your question, sir.
The question is, if you go back to that thing where you said that Kumari Kandam, the Raja is going. Today, if you navigate the southern tip of India, right, ships that pass by, they still say that the geographical pull, that is the Earth's gravity, is different in that area, which suggests that perhaps it's quite shallow. Now, the question I have is, how far did this Kumari Kandam go? Because this is not the one where we talk about Kumari Kandam going and connecting everything, not Lemuria. Lemuria seems to be when the whole thing was single mass before the Earth split up and the plate started diverging or moving away. So that's all coming a little bit early, much earlier than that, right?
Much earlier.
So Kumari Kandam, yeah.
We have, since you mentioned this, Kumari Kandam and Lemuria, we can have it for another day.
Sure,
As
sure.
the session, because we have sufficient data on it. So the reason I said is what you asked the right question. We had the same question in mind, and about 17, 18 years back, we went here to Hambantota in
Hmm.
the southwest coast of Sri Lanka and met the divers there and
Hmm.
people who go deep sea diving and spoke to them about what do they see in the plates,
Hmm.
in the earth plates and the
Seabed.
seabed, and more importantly, the continental shelf. So that's a separate dialogue. Because when we talk about Kumari Kandam, we can speak about it. We have that. All that I'm saying is
Okay.
to yourself and through you
You're
to the
right.
audience is yes, we have data, and it's data for another session.
And you are right that there are two aspects when you talk about Kumari Kandam. The whole Kandam as a huge Lemuria or Gondwana land, huge continent, but much, much earlier. And a part which was part of the Tamil region, which was around this belt, which
Right.
is datable to legends from the Ramayana as well. So that is more or less this region, and we've got some maps where we have shown how, based on Tamil literature, what existed on that land during the periods of Ramayana and so on.
Very good point, Hema has
And
raised.
and also how stage by stage that land also vanished to just give you this remnants that we have today.
All that we can say now is that area data correlating it to Ramayana and Mahabharata we have done. That we can have it, as I said, in another session. Now
Sure,
going on
sure.
to the going back. Pardon?
No, go to the next. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah.
You have the floor. Yeah.
On this person.
Now,
Do this.
now having said about navigation, Navai, to understand how the influence of Bharat, Indian navigation prowess, has been the world over. See, when Constantinople, which was an important Christiania, was important for the Roman Empire, became Istanbul, the trade route to Bharat for the Europeans was cut off. It's an important point. So they had to find a route to trade with it, because India was the major trading hub for them, and all the trade was happening mostly through Istanbul. So it was like a neck for them, chicken neck that was taken over by the Arabs. The moment that happened, what did they do? They wanted to find an alternate sea route to India. The job fell upon Diego Chavo. He tried reaching, but he couldn't find India at all. Then it came to Bartholomew Diaz. I'm sure before I click on Bartholomew Diaz, you'd have heard about the Bartholomew maps. I'm sure Chicago University has some of the best maps in this field, and even Scotland has maps. So it was this Bartholomew Diaz who charted all these maps, which is famous today. And he came looking for India.
So because they could no longer use this route, they knew they had to come all around. So that's the first time they start trying to go around Africa.
And look at this. When his ship comes up to the southern horn of Africa, it sinks. And he is not able to cross over. So he barely escapes and comes back. But the point is, from then, this tip of the southern part of Africa is called Cape of Good Hope. Why is it called Cape of Good Hope? Because that's obviously it's a cape. If you cross this, it is good hope to reach India. If you don't cross it, it is bad luck. So reaching India was their sole aim. It was an India-centric world. So for them, so even a place in Africa is named after the hope of reaching India. That is what we are trying to highlight here. Now, then it comes to Kovilla. He tries to re-establish a trade route. Unfortunately, he's also not able to. Then it falls upon Christopher Columbus. That's when they know that the world is round. Before that, they thought it was all the flat earth theory. So it knows the world is round. Then he says, I will go west. I'll reach India. So he wants to circumnavigate the globe and reach India. That is his aim. And he goes to what is now known as the West Indies, the Caribbean. And he says he found India. And anybody from there on are Indians. Red Indians, all this. So all the terms comes up only because of this. Because his intention was to circumnavigate and reach India. And even though he didn't reach mainland America, he reached only the West Indies. That itself was prosperous for him in comparison to the already 1,000-year dark ages Europe just ravaged Europe. So, and both the trips were only up to West Indies.
And what is very interesting, actually, if you note over here, when he set sail for Europe at that time, they didn't know any land existed beyond Canary Islands here. The world stopped with Canary Islands. So the first land they hit itself, they think they've already reached the other end of the globe. So that is the key point. The idea for Europe of that period during the Dark Ages was it ended with the Canary Islands on the west.
So then it comes upon Christopher Columbus.
Vasco da Gama.
Vasco da Gama, 5 years after him. And he goes south. And finally, he crosses.
He uses Bartholomew Diaz as his maps. Guide and his maps as his guide and lead. And he comes down the same path, hugging the coast of Africa, the west coast.
And that's where he comes to beyond Cape of Good Hope. He sees Indian ships.
And this is what he writes. In his logs, he writes that he sees Indian ships at the Cape of Good Hope.
10 times the size of his ship. Mind you, he is coming with the largest ship of Europe and he sees ships that are 10 times the size of his ship. And in the midst of them, navigated by an Indian navigator by name Kanha, he reaches Kozhikode. Of course, they do a few stops on the east coast of Africa too and finally reach. That's how it is. So that's how Vasco da Gama is said to have found the sea route to India. So actually the world was looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, as the proverb goes. They're looking for India in India, they're looking for East Indies, West Indies, Indonesia, Red Indians, everywhere, because reaching India was an ultimate goal for centuries. So that was, and how do they do it? By navigation, because the West was not looking for India just for spices. That's one of the small products, not just for other treasures, and not for the wealth, wisdom alone, but everything cumulatively put together is what they're looking for. That is what Alexander came. So when he came, okay, let's go on to another aspect now. Having said this,
no, the ship says.
Now, understand one important aspect here. We said a couple of minutes back that Vasco da Gama, as well as before him, both Sao Gabriel that he took and Santa Maria, both of the ships were the largest ships in Europe of that time. Now, if you say that, look at Santa Maria that was taken by Christopher Columbus, the largest ship of his time to circumnavigate the globe. If you look at the ship that he took, the size of the ship that he took, it comes to about 25 plus meters. Now let's look at the ship Sao Gabriel that was taken by Vasco da Gama to reach to India. That ship was a little less than 30 meters. Let's look at the ship sizes, the names and ship sizes that the Indians were plying at that time. A ship by name Gamini, which is well over 40 meters, closer to 50 meters. Then you had something called Tari. This goes to 55 meters. Then you have Jangala. That goes to 60 plus meters. Plavini. That goes to 70 plus meters. Dharini, that which bears. That goes to almost 80 meters. Begini, that which can go fast. That's why you saw no Krishnani Begane Baro. So that which can go real fast. That goes to 90 plus meters. Look at the size of ships. It is amazing.
Look at all these words. They're all connected with navigation. Gamini, the one that moves. Gama. Tarini, to cross over. Plavini, also to tide through. Dharini, a load bearer, like some of these cargo ships. the fast one. So these are the names they've given and the kind of sizes we had. So when Vasco da Gama, he writes that at Cape of Good Hope, he sees ships that are far larger, close to 10 times larger. He was not wrong, because we did have such kind of large ships.
Ocean-going ships. And they were being used for millennia before that. That's the beauty of it. And that's when the large ships of the world came about. Now, having said this, so when you say India not only gave the word nav, Navai, Navgat for navigation, we also were having the naval activity area. Look at the activity area. Because we've seen the activity from the Mediterranean, East Mediterranean for Nova to the Nahutal in Mexico. So the European naval activity area is shown here in the blinking red and blue.
Up to Canary Islands at the
That's all. This was for many, many millennia till Christopher Columbus crossed the Canary Islands and went west. That was the whole activity area. That's all they had. Look at the activity area.
See, even all the Greek literature, they don't talk much about having navigated beyond this Mediterranean region.
Whereas look at the navigation area, activity area. And that's why in Tamil literature, especially Chola literature of the Rajaraja Chola, Rajendra Chola, you have a comment by one of the naval commanders here who was regularly crossing from here going to Malaysia, West Malaysia, to the place called Kadaram, which was their provincial capital. And he was saying...
Actually in the same latitude.
Almost.
So exactly here like this.
And he writes that the Bay of Bengal for him was but a large lake. Now, if this is a large lake, this Bay of Bengal, for him to do weekly or monthly visits, then imagine the size of the Mediterranean, which was all for the navigation of southern Europe and northern Africa. Then what it was? It was also an enclosed lake at best. Here it is, you have so many storms. They have to really handle all the storms. So look at, the strength of navigation, the width of navigation of the Bharata civilization is so huge. It's humongous. So we gave the size of ships, we gave the very name to it, and we had the naval spread.
Actually, we have a lot of records which show how Vasco da Gama describes the difference between the European ships and the Indian ships, how he finds them superior in terms of their sails, in terms of the material used, and how they had actually connected and made the ships. And mind you, even when Alexander comes to India and he gets defeated and he's forced to retreat, he goes via the Makran coast here. They one team goes by land they retrace the land path along the coast. One team goes by ship. A lot of people return by the sea. And all those ships were built by the people of Bharata civilization who were in the Sindh region here. And they built the ships for him to go back. Yes. And so talking about Sindh now brings a very beautiful point then. Just let me try to bring that up. I think, right?
Yeah. Now look at this. Obviously for the seas, the waters, the oceans, the Deva is Varuna.
And this is the temple, perhaps the only one right now for Varun Dev. In fact, it's very rare to find temples for the Devas, the Agni and Varuna and all that. You do find some for Indra here and there in Southeast Asia. Now, Varuna, there is this temple in Manora, which is right now in Pakistan, in the Sindh region. It is situated on the seashore. And Varuna typically, being the god of waters, he has also got a Makara as his Vahana. But look at that. This is Sindh. Okay. And the Varuna temple is here. And why is it here? From sitting here, he is literally commanding the entire seas here. See, there's nothing.
Right. What you call Arabian Sea today, because it's named by the Arabs. But original name was Sindhu Sagar. And who is sitting at the top of the Sindhu Sagar? Varuna,
Varuna.
the Deva for all the water. See how beautifully we had positioned it. Even now that temple is there. That's why you look at the logo of the Indian Navy. It Shanno Varunaha. So it's so apt that the civilization through the ages had. So this.
I'll just show the picture of the temple today.
Yes, yes,
one
yes.
of the recent.
This in our book.
So here it is at Karachi. This we have written in one of our books.
Actually, in our book, Breaking the Myths About Identity, there's a full chapter called Pakistan, a Land of Hindu Temples. We have identified about 100 plus Hindu temples in Pakistan. This is the chapter. This whole chapter is called Pakistan, a Land of Hindu Temples.
So we've taken up each temple over here, each
Multan.
one of them. I mean, but that itself is a beautiful.
It's a chapter by itself in our book for reading.
It's a separate story, but this is to show you this Varun Dev temple here. And
so look at the temple there on the coast. Look at this. How it majestically holds the whole coast, the whole arc. So we spoke about the biblical Noah's Ark, we spoke of the geographical ark, we spoke of the Navy word ark, and we speak about the Varuna's ark here of the Sindhu Sagar.
And for them, Uderolal is their divinity. He is a
Siddhis.
Incarnation of Varun Dev and Uderolal. And so you find that pictures there at the temple now, of course, very dilapidated. And Sri Varun Dev Mandir, it is here.
Very clear written there. This is in Pakistan now.
And in there you have in that temple Ram, Sita, and Lakshmana in the forest. But see here, Sri Varun Dev Mandir.
Obviously, it's all
in Karachi.
It's all last renovated about 75-80 years ago. Not after that. Unfortunate situation.
So, and all this actually bring out a very beautiful aspect of the Sindhis as well. If you look at it a lot, when you say those people were looking for India and all that, the wealth from India which was being traded, much of it was because of the Sindhis who were sitting right up there and had access to all the different regions from the sea. And
this is so close to Karachi, see, just on the outskirts of Karachi.
Right.
Just so close to Karachi, and beyond that is Hinglaj Mata. Okay,
so fine. The point that comes out very starkly from all this is this. I mean, how does it have a bearing for us today? See, what has happened, another beautiful story is what happened if there was so much prowess. How did it all get wrecked systematically? It was wrecked deliberately, systematically, and in a very short period. While it reigned supreme for millennia, it came down. The decline was in a few decades itself. And that's a very different story, very sad story.
We can do it another day, but just want to tell you that input is also available for a different day. But the point is what Hema is trying to get across quickly is that look at the length of the indented coastline that Bharat has with so many sheltered harbors. Look at this size of the coastline. Many countries the world over will vie for such coastlines. And all of them are warm water coastline.
That's a fundamental difference. All these waters are warm water. They never freeze. So you have all round shipping ability, navigation ability.
Through the year. For all 366 days of the year, you got navigation abilities. So it's a huge coastline. So maritime activity of this land, this nation, this civilization has been substantial through the millennia. We are not only given the name, we are given many arcs, we have been part of many arcs. And the future also is good, where we need to understand where we have come from. So that gives strength further for us to take it forward so that India can once again be a navigational giant of the world. Have not only given the term, but also can once again, because we've got all the points that need to.
See, we have to understand our strengths first and then know what to leverage. And this has been one of our major strengths, and we have to learn how to leverage it. And we should start leveraging it much more. and in a
Two
very
or three,
sustainable, very practical, which is how it was done earlier. So that
two or
is a
three
point.
questions.
This is one of our key strengths.
Conference they're cutting.
I'm
Just show
sorry,
you
having
one.
false starts here. Are you done with the presentation? Can I
Just
ask you a
one
few
more.
questions?
Just one more. Just one more. Because on the last point. Conference there. Which is case like side slightly.
Oh, okay.
Just a moment. Just show you once. This is what we want to show. What Hema said just now is valid good because we should have the confidence and dare. Because if we have to now get back that navigational absolute supremacy position, you need confidence, you need dare. In each field, here more so in the field of navigation. Thank you.
I was thinking that Shanno Mitra Shan Varunaha. I thought that was from Taittiriya Upanishad. Shanna Indro Brahaspatihi Sanno Vishnu
It is.
Namo
It is.
Brahmane Namaste Vayu.
Absolutely. It is.
Vayu. Because he is the Vayu. Without the Vayu, where can you Varuna both? So you need it next. Yeah.
He is too.
Viewers,
Yes.
I hope you guys
Yeah,
are liking this
yeah.
video because the literate the what should I say, the amount of knowledge that Dr. Hema and Dr. Hari bring is just way up there, and this should be seen by a much wider audience. I hope you've all liked this video. I've not looked at the stats, but certainly I would like them to come again and again. We're planning to do this thing once every 2 weeks, Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. time permitting and place permitting. If they're not traveling, if I'm not traveling, we should have it like this. So this is the idea. But see how many things that are coming out. It's all written. They have books. You can go to bharatgyan.org, right?
Com.
.com. Yeah, BHARATHGYAN.com, and I think also .org. You can choose either one. All the books are available there, and they are fantastic researchers. Now I have some questions. If the PowerPoint presentation is over, I would like to ask some tough questions because I've been struggling with the answers for a long time. Also, I was too lazy to find the answers. I knew if I ask you, you will give me the answer just like that. So, first question is, warm waters, fine, but the navigation was mostly because of the winds. So, in other words, I've heard this, I don't know how true this is, that it took 6 months for you to turn around and come back. In other words, you could go from, say, India to Malaysia, but then you had to wait for the winds to turn before you could come back. They couldn't row it across. Is it true or not?
No. They were. That's why I told you in the earlier statement that the very confident statement. It's a recorded statement that's available of the admiral of the Chola naval fleet. He's saying that what you call today Bay of Bengal, Vanga Kadal, was also called Ganga Sagar then, because the Ganga was draining into it.
And he says
so not just one Ganga, many Gangas. That's a different point. We'll come to it another day. Why it is many Gangas, not just one Bhagirathi Ganga, many other Gangas too. That's a different point. But the point, what he calls it, it's but a large lake.
And they're going that many times. People are going up and down. He says that there are lots of people just going up and down.
See, they use the water currents, no doubt. They use the winds, but they were not dependent on it alone. They had a variety of ways. And mind you, the ships were so large, they could take elephants in it.
And there's a beautiful wall sculpture, a panel in Odisha, which shows elephant on
in the maritime museum. They have a panel they got of elephants being taken, because today when you go from one port to another to offload goods, you use a crane.
They carried the crane.
They carried the cranes with them in the ship because they have to offload goods in every port.
Look at the ingenuity, and so much more sustainable in a way. You feed the elephant, look after it. And that helps you.
So look at the size of the ships for them to carry an elephant in it.
One thing we
are, a boat.
We have actually spoken for an hour on the aspect of the communication skill of Bharata people. these people are going to foreign lands. See, one is all the technical. In fact, in the book Made in India, we have dealt with how things were made in India and were sold, traded, taking the ships. But we have dealt a lot with how we traded with ships itself. We used to build ships and sell ships too.
Ships was a commodity, trading commodity. See, you could be a navigator. You can navigate, but we also sold ships.
And so we had so many skills: ship building skill, ship navigating skill, and also fighting skill with the Navy, and trading using the ships. And these traders, that's something we really overlook, especially in India. When we talk about people who went for war and trading community, we just say traders, but we discount the fact that traders had equal amount of guts and gumption, because if they are going by seas to some unknown land, they are also going. Imagine the amount of courage it needs to go to some unknown land, speak, convince the people of that unknown land to buy your product, tell them that this is good.
You don't know the language, but you have to convince them to buy it at your profit.
And you should plan in advance, because sometimes actually it's not just spices. We didn't trade in spices alone. We traded in heavy goods, steel and all that. Especially in that Sindhu Saraswati civilization, all the records are all about steel and heavy metal trading. And Southeast Asia, it's all about huge wood, logs, and so on. So, and even tin, it's actually part of the tin route. So they were heavy things, and people had to plan on how to take them, how to unload, offload, so much of planning. So trading, we just say that, oh, they went, they brought money. But we overlook these aspects of communication, of guts, all of those.
Actually, we have done
so much of hardships.
We have done a 1 hour presentation on just the communication aspect
of the civilization,
of the Vanijyam, because they had to communicate in a new language, in a new land. They don't know the people, they don't know what to sell, and they don't know the language, but still communicate with them. That's what they did millennia after millennia, centuries after centuries. On that, how they communicated itself, we have done a 1 hour talk for the Madras Management Association about a year back. The link is available in our YouTube channel.
So if we were wealthy, if the civilization was so wealthy, it is because of these people who have gone from all over this land.
Now you've really intrigued my imagination here. Elephants are vegetarian. You can't pick fish from the sea and feed it to the elephant. So did they have a separate separate ship for the food for the elephant? I've seen the elephant being fed. It is like a mini football. Every morsel is like a mini football. The mahout will just bounce it around, big thing, and then he'll give it. And when it opens its mouth, you see how small it is.
And in one gulp, it swallows it.
Yeah, it's one gulp. That's
and it needs so many bucketfuls of.
I think I can show you that slide if you want, of that elephant being carried. We have that slide with us.
Oh, go ahead and pull it up. Yeah. So while one is doing that, I'll ask the other person this question. Hariji, so are you saying that in addition to winds, they also knew where the currents were? So were the currents also turning during the year? Like, for example, from east to west, the ocean current goes.
Yes.
It switches and
see, obviously they knew very well. There's no doubt about it. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Just one second. That's a very interesting panel. It's still there in the Maritime Museum in Odisha. It's here. Yeah, it's here.
So you can see this is a stone panel.
I'll have to
share screen, is it?
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Are we sharing screen?
I'll put it up. Yeah. No. I had it up. Yeah.
No, sure. I have to get this off from here.
Okay.
So this is that stone panel where you can see the elephant here.
Inside the ship. Can you see that?
Oh, nice.
You
Now I
highlight
see
the
it.
elephant now.
Yeah.
See, there is
Highlight
one fellow here and
Hmm.
one on the next ship. They've distributed the load.
different people.
So they are rowing, but these are all small ships, though. That
No, no. See,
they're to cross over.
this is a stone panel. See, the stone panel is indicative. It's just indicative at best. It's just to be, see, this is part of this is in the Maritime Museum in Cuttack.
Even the one in Egypt shows.
Egypt also shows this.
There's one in Egypt also, which actually shows elephants coming in ship from southeast of Egypt.
That's obviously the Malabar.
Now, let's
the
get back
next.
to.
Yeah.
52 minutes.
So
Let's get back to my question. How
Yes.
was when the winds were not there? How would they find their way back to India?
2 points I want to say here. We actually mention this when we speak in our Hindu University America class. Which is a more comfortable time for navigation, day or night?
You're asking me? I would say
Yes,
night.
sir.
I would say night.
Yes, you absolutely, because in day you have only one star, that is the
Correct,
sun you have to
correct.
follow. In the
Right.
night you have 1,000 stars which are actually naksha. That's why they are nakshatra. They map not only the sky, they map the ocean for you. So they have navigated. So while they have
So the
navigated,
navigators, and they were very good astronomers as well.
so they were looking at the sky and navigating on the seas. So similarly, the ocean currents are different from the winds on the surface of the ocean. So you understand. So what you're talking about is the surface winds. Those are seasonal. The currents in the ocean and their movements are actually quite different too. So you have to understand there are two things happening. One, you need the sails to make use of the winds that are on the surface. You also need to understand the ocean currents. This comes with decades and centuries and millennia of data. Actually, we have probably some other, because today almost close to 1 hour. We can show you. We have a proper animation of how if you cut the log in the Iravati Nadi of Burma and leave it there, you can collect it in the east coast of Chettinad. And it's numbered and cut and put there. Just by ocean currents, it comes here and you can pick it up in the ocean here. You don't have to lug them along.
How does
They
it
never
navigate
carried the
itself?
logs.
That's what. So
It
that's
would find its way home here.
So you should understand there are different underwater currents, there are different water currents, there are different air movements. So air movements on the surface is not the only way. That's why I use the simile to show that there is what you see in the sky is what you navigate on the surface. So a different level. And for this, it is not enough if you navigate for 10 years, 20 years. You need to have navigation skills, prowess that go across centuries and millennia. And the compiled data of it with this, what they do. So you're talking about a different deal totally.
A very deep deal.
Let me. I'm trying to picturize this. India didn't have paper in the current form. There was Olai. Olai Chuvadi is where they wrote all this stuff.
Parchment
They
was
must
there.
have had cartographers. They must have definitely had cartographers. There would be somebody who's actually making notes. Kanakku Pillai will be there, accountant for the ship, what's coming, what's going, what is there, and everything. So I mean, all this was already defined in this. My question to you is: so are they just navigating with stars? Supposing it is cloudy at night, how would they navigate? I have an idea. I'm going to ask you that question. If you don't answer that way, then I'll ask you that question.
See, cloudiness is again very, what do you call, part of the time. You see, when they start off, they know when, what is there. That is why one of the greatest navigational utsav of Bharat, celebrated to this year, is called the Bali Jatra. Actually, we showed you a glimpse of it. It starts from Cuttack, from Mahanadi, and goes all the way up to the Indonesian island of Bali. And it was an annual Jatra which happened in the Kartika month.
So it would open the window for navigation.
And
the season for navigation starts. It restarts.
It was not one ship, two ships. It was 1,000 ships were set sail from Odisha Mahanadi coast alone towards the Southeast Asian islands of Indonesia. And it's even now celebrated as Bali Jatra. Actually, it was reenacted in 1982 by the senior Sri Biju Patnaik, Swargiya Biju Patnaik ji. He made it into an annual Jatra for the Odisha government, even though celebrated.
There's a beautiful arch there.
So like that, every place has its extremely high degree of navigation. That's why, okay, on the session we'll do about the Patnams. That's a different, Patnams is a different, of course. How many Patnams do you have?
Machilipatnam, Madras Patnam, Chennapatnam, Nagapatnam.
So we'll deal with that. Why Patnams? Why are they called Patnams? Why are Patnams there? That's a question.
I don't know,
and there are Patnams. There are Patnams along the coast. There are Patnams inside also.
Why?
Oh, I'm sure that is possible.
This land has exploited water. I wouldn't want to use the word exploited. It has leveraged water so beautifully. So beautifully. River water, sea water. Amazing, I tell you. I mean, we are at a loss sometimes.
Explaining as to how all they have leveraged the waters, both internal navigation and overseas navigation.
It's been the lifeline of the civilization, and it is water that continues to, it coursed through the civilization, it courses even now.
Even internal navigation.
Internal and external. I mean, waterways, we are trying to work on them, but the amount of work, look at the names of so many places in this entire land, east, west, north, south. They'll all be, many of the important towns will be based on a reason of a port, a jetty, a harbor, along an internal navigation.
We have identified many, we have identified hundreds of them, and the names, the season, the reason, all that we have done. So that is what, because already crossed 59 minutes today. Because our viewers' interest also.
So you're coming back after 2 weeks. People are screaming, we need to have you regularly. That's what they're saying in my chat window. Everybody loves it. Hey guys, go get your uncle, your auntie, your sister, your nephew, your niece. Everybody should be watching this video. We need to encourage Hemaji and Hariji to come back. So, question for you. So, I was told and that there is a specific species of monkey called Devavak. We call it Devang. Devang is a derogatory word. But I have heard that Devavak, the reason it's called Devavak is because it didn't matter what time of the day and whether there was cloud, rain, shine, nothing. It always sat pointing to the north. Is it true?
I've heard this a couple of times earlier. It's what you're telling is not new to me. Probably I'll speak to a few of the people that we know of in this field, and in a couple of weeks we'll get a lot more data on this. So I've heard this data, but have heard not.
We will get Devavak.
We'll get Devavak on this too.
Okay, I'll leave this with one thought. When in one of my conversations with Dr. Nagaswamy, he had said how Karur was actually the epicenter of business in South. And the reason for that is Karur is the one place that linked you to both West Coast as well as East Coast. And the East Coast was Kaveri. You just came down Kaveri and you went to, East. Now, you said something about Patana. No, I'm intrigued. Further north along Kaveri, there is a town, Srirangapatna.
Yes, all Patnas. See, we will have one session only on the word Patnams.
We'll do it next week on Patnams.
Yes, all Patnams. Yes.
I mean, the next session, yeah.
We'll have only on Patnams.
We are dying to talk about it.
Yeah. Doctor, I started saying that India has its own equivalent of Noah's Ark, which precedes it by many, many thousands of years. Now, please touch upon this. What was the Indian version of Noah's Ark? Something happened. Maybe it was in Matsyavataram. I don't know when exactly it was. Give us when it happened and how it happened. 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. If it's okay with you for just spending 5 more minutes. We're not taking
No,
any
no,
questions, guys.
it's fine.
Sorry. These stories are so good. I don't want to stop their flow. Sir.
See, the world over, you have the concept of patron saints. It's common. Who is a patron saint for England? Any idea?
Sir, I don't know for
Saint George.
India. Where is it knowing?
No. That's why I'm coming there. The patron saint for England is what? Saint George. That's why the white and red flag of England is the St. George's Cross. The first trading port that they built in the Orient, that is in erstwhile Madras, the olden day Madras, they called it St. George's Fort because it was based on their patron saint. Like that, every place has got its own patron saints. Who are the patron saints of Bharata? Not just India. We have Bharat Mata, that's mother, but we got the patron saints. I'm using plural, not saint. Our patron saints are the Saptarishi.
Okay.
Our patron saints are Saptarishi. And it is the Saptarishis have played this role. When every pralaya happens, they collect all that is need to be collected and bring it to safety and give it to the next sequence of life, which is why they are not only patron saints, they are not only rishis, but they are also prajapatis. Because they are the leaders of people who ensure that the next phase of life happens. So they are, and when their stars in the north, in the northern sky, what you today call the Ursa Major, Saptarishi Mandala, Great right? Dipper, Saptarishi Mandalam. So
Great Bear.
So these patron saints have a role. So they have a very historical role and repetitive role of whenever a pralayam happens of any form. Pralayam need not be only by water, need not be only a jala pralayam. There can be many types of pralayam, many elemental forms. For purpose of sketch, you have been shown a jala pralayam. Of the Noah's Ark idea is also similar to that. Very similar to that idea of the jala pralayam of when it happens. And the pralayam could be right from every night when you go to bed, when you sleep, that is also a nitya pralayam in you personally. There are different pralayams for different islands, for different places, for the whole world as such, for the solar system as such. So different layers of pralayams are there. Layam, merging together, pralayam, that special merges. So from that merge, you have to emerge. Who creates that emerge for you from that merge? So you need people. So that is where the idea of the ark, the Noah's Ark. What is actually ark finally? Why is it an ark? Why do you have the same word ark in Konarak? What is sun called? Arka. Sun is also Arka. So you're all talking
sun,
about...
I thought it was called Mitra. I didn't know sun had another name called Ark, sir.
Oh, Arka is a name.
Mitra is friend because it's your only friend. Because you leave that your next friend is Proxima Centauri, which is so many astronomical light years away.
And incidentally, actually, it's Proxima Centauri, which is called Mitra in astronomy because it's our closest friend to our friend.
So Proxima Centauri is Mitra in the sky because it's Mitra to our Mitra. It's a friend's friend.
He's the best friend. BFF.
BFF. Okay. So
we made a film on Mitra, Proxima Centauri. It's there in our Wonders of Indian Astronomy playlist. There's a playlist of 30 plus films called Wonders of Indian Astronomy.
So let's get back to our own ark. Let's get back to our own ark. So Saptarishis did what?
So the Prajapati ideas who give whenever there is a pralaya, they know what to collect and take it to the next phase. And there are many types of pralaya. So pralaya can be by snow, ice ages, heat, global warming. Pralaya can be by waters, can be by volcanoes. So there can be many varieties of pralaya. That's all. It's pralaya does not mean only by flooding of the oceans rising. There could be many ways of pralaya. At the time when it happens, you need somebody to
collect, preserve, and take it forward. So
to
that's
the
the role.
next cycle.
So Noah represents that aspect, that you have to collect, you have to preserve, and you have to give it to the next generation. So Noah symbolizes that activity which has been done by many rishis world over. And this is some activity that needs to be done for the human race to survive.
The earthlings, not just the humans, earthlings to survive. All the plants, the seeds, the animals, the squirrels, the snake, everything, the earthlings to survive. You need to have that transition from this to that. So
that's why today you have seed banks being created at Svalbard, and to preserve seeds, so that in case of major calamity, you can grow plants. You can take the seeds and start.
India has created a seed bank in Ladakh. India is also. So you have this idea. See, look at the concept. So
every temple was such a kind of a Noah, a Gopuram. They used to store for calamities.
Annam, grains.
So disaster, Noah means disaster recovery plan in modern terminology.
So the concept of Noah's Ark, the larger point I'm trying to come down to explain is the concept of Noah's Ark is not limitedly East Mediterranean of 3000 BCE. The concept of Noah's Ark and the name of it, you find it millennia before that in the Puranic literature of Bharat, in both visual representation and in practical application, and the naming is a larger point I'm trying to drive home. I hope through you, your viewers, you have to catch a larger point. I'm not saying the name went from here to there. No, the concept, the naming, everything has a precedence going back millennia before the East Mediterranean event.
Thank you so much.
That's the psyche of the world. That's the psyche of the world.
I'm forgetting that I need to give you time to also add to what Dr. Hari is saying. And I'm so used to one guest. So sorry about this. So
no.
So next week we are set. We are going to look at Patanas.
Yes.
My request to both of you: final word on this chapter, and what are the things that people can look for in terms of additional reading and context. Over to you. I'll start with Dr. Hema this time, and then let Dr. Hari add.
Okay. I think the final word is, every civilization, we have to understand our strengths and learn to leverage it. And India's strength lies in water, abundance of water, both on land, around the land, and in the brains as well, because we are also 70% water, and we have used our intellects very well to learn how to use all of this. And so that we have to realize, and today see how we can get back to using internal navigation as well as sea marital navigation. And that is, see, people like Singapore and all that, and you have the Gulf, you have Germany, many of these, they have made themselves a hub for air navigation. And with such a large coast, we have to see how we can leverage that and become a center point for trade and various other activities. So that is one thing. And regarding where we have written about it a lot is one in our book, Made in India, of the Brand Bharat series in the Autobiography of India collection. Our entire compendium, we call it Autobiography of India. And in that, in Brand Bharat, we have the first volume, which is called Made in India, about all the heavy goods that were made here and traded, brought wealth to the land. And so how were they traded? Close to 1/3 or 1/4 of the book is about navigation, how we traded using ships, the skills we had, how we even traded ships. And we've also spoken a lot about the decline of this industry, what caused it to, decline as well. And people, how did we revive? How did we even come to the stage where we have some of the docks and harbors today, and we are slowly building back our strength with that confidence? So that little bit of history also. Who are those early people who helped bring back navigation to independent India?
Dr.
So
Hari.
that covers that.
You are an American citizen.
Why
are
do you want to
living
bring
America.
that in, sir?
No. I have a very, very specific purpose.
I'm trying very hard to not become that.
No. You are now speaking from the land of United States of America, and we are here in India. Obviously, you have a wonderful national anthem.
Yes.
Yes. And who penned the national anthem of United States of America?
Francis Scott
When
Key.
did he pen it? Where did he pen it? Where did he pen it from?
I know. He was captured he was captured, and there was a ship. The East India Britishers were running, and that ship was actually built in India. I remember all that stuff. Rajiv Malhotra has done a couple of sessions on this. I remember that.
Good. So so we written that in our book how it's an Indian-built ship that was docked in the port of USA, from which the national anthem
Baltimore.
of
Maryland,
Baltimore, from where this. So it was from an Indian-made ship on the east coast of USA that the national anthem of United States of America was penned. So for what was penned, I think there's a strong Indian connect to the national anthem of United States of America. So that is a navigational connect. So that's a high point. So look at this. Not only did this, we had a key role to play in that.
Yes, indeed. And we'll be back again 2 weeks from now, and we're going to follow this series for a while. All you need to do, viewers, is to spread the word, and also by way of comments, please tell us how you like this content. And they are an encyclopedia of knowledge. Every time I go to their house, my hair starts growing back. That's how good they are. So I don't mean it I mean seriously, and treasure house of information. And I consider it my luck that they treat me like a friend, and I'm likewise. I'm trying my best to keep up with all the generosity and hospitality they provide. Dr. Hari sounds better. It's like a movie name. Thank you so much, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time, viewers. And thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.